Greetings, Ian from RTO here. Hope you're all well, and welcome to a very interesting classic album. Now what? But I bet you're all thinking, why has he chose The Sound of Music? Well, I'll tell you. Well, one of the things I do is also go, when I do classic albums, I go through all the classic albums of the years and just pick some that I think are pretty good. Now, when I was wandering through the 60s not so long ago, I come across this and I thought, wow. Thing is, I knew it sold well, but I didn't realise it sold that well. This soundtrack was the best-selling album from the year it came out, 1965, and 1966. This album has sold over 20 million copies worldwide, and the soundtrack is in not just English, it's in German, Italian and French. So why was it the phenomenal it is when there were other great albums from that period? So I thought I'd investigate. So, The Sound of Music is a musical big production from Hollywood, directed by Robert Wise, and the music of Rodgers and Hammerstein. Starred Julie Andrews, of course, and Christopher Plummer, and all the kids. Peggy Wood's in it, but the singing is done by a chap called Bill Lee, because for Christopher Plummer's as Captain Von Trapp, because obviously Christopher Plummer can't sing very well, so they brought in Bill Lee to overdub the singing. He did the singing on the soundtrack, of course. Pity someone didn't do that for Pierce Brosnan in Mamma Mia. But there you go. Okay then, so let's have a look at what's on this album. Well, the first thing you get is the Prelude and The Sound of Music. You get the little thing, and you get the hills are alive, the sound of music, that sort of thing. Okay, it's one of the most recognised pieces of music. It's a nice vocal from Julie Andrews. I mean, at least she can sing. Then we get an overture. Basically, the overture is all the bits of the songs that you're going to get through the thing. This thing they used to do in them days, have a little overture to a thing. And then the first thing you get is the morning hymn and Hallelujah with all the nuns at the monastery where Maria was. Well, it's alright. Yeah. Not my cup of tea. Then we get Maria. What are we going to do about Maria? Yeah. Even though this is not a film that I particularly like, I know the words to the songs, which is pretty sad, isn't it? Yeah, it's a quirky little song, isn't it? Even I know some of the words to it, so that's how good it is. Then we have a track called I Have Confidence. Julie Andrews has got a nice voice. Julie Andrews has played Maria, and she was played Mary Poppins. So, I don't know, it's alright. Nothing wrong with this. Then we get 16 going on 17. Yeah, I think it's on there with the words. That's sad, isn't it? But it's one of the quirky songs from this film. Bit cheesy, but there you go. Then we get My Favourite Things. Yeah, I mean, this album, my mum had this album because my mum loved this film, and so it got played when I was growing up. It got played a lot. But My Favourite Things, I think it is a song from my childhood. and I quite like it still today. I think it's a nice tune, and it's all them nice things you talk about, and yeah, I've got no problem with that one, actually. Believe it or not. Climb Every Mountain. Oh dear. Oh, it's a nice vocal from Peggy Walker, but oh god, what a horrible song. And then we get my favourite track from this soundtrack. It's The Lonely Goatherd. It's a little bit of puppet show they did. I think someone, I don't know, they just did a poem. And I just think this is funny. All the ole, woo, woo, woo. I can't sing either. I think it's quite a catchy little thing, that is. Then we get The Sound of Music with the children and Bill Lee. That's very nice harmonies. What more can you say? And then another song that I think every person must know, Do Re Mi. Do dear female dear re. You know the bits. The funny bit of this film, they're all dressed up in curtains, which is quite a mess for funny. Yeah, it's alright. Yeah, childhood memories. Something good. This is supposed to be between Maria and the Captain, but it's actually Bill Lee and Julie Andrews. I think it's pretty good. Then we get the Procession at the and Maria reprise. That's all right. Edelweiss. This is Bill Lee's moment, of course. I'm not very keen on this song. It's not one I particularly go for, but I remember I thought someone in our family had a musical box, and this was, you know, that they used to do the ding 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 ding. Well, yeah, that's why I sort of got memories of hearing this musical box playing it. Then we get the cheesy "So long, farewell." Oh, God, can't stand that. What a performance just to say good night. Yes, I'm not very keen on musicals, these big things like the West Side Story. They're all going to start, you think the two guns are going to run a fight. No, they're going to do a song and dance routine. I don't get that, and I never really have. Except the Elvis ones, of course, and Cliff Richard. I don't mind them, but some of these. Then we get a reprise of Climb Every Mountain. Okay, 1965. It beat albums to the best album of the year. It beat the Beatles, The Help. Out of Our Heads, The Rolling Stones. My Generation, The Who. But also in that list was two other soundtracks. The soundtrack to Mary Poppins and Fiddler on the Roof. How could this soundtrack album beat three of the biggest names in 60s rock and pop to the best album? So how did it do? How did it do? This is the weekly, the charts from 1965 to 68. Okay, in Canada, the highest it got is number 3, 36 in Holland, Norway number 1, UK number 1, and the US number 1. End of year charts 1965. Number 1 in the UK, number 3 in the UK. 1966. Number 1 in the UK again, number 2 in the US. 1967. These are the end of year charts. Okay. Number 2 in the UK, number 4 in America. 1968. It's back at number 1. And in 1969, UK, number 6. End of the decade, it was the second best-selling single in the album in the UK. Unbelievable, these figures. It's discs, gold in Australia, 5 times platinum Canada, gold in Norway, gold in South Africa, 8 times platinum in the UK, which is 2,400,000 copies. USA gold 500,000. It's this in 1965. It spent 70 weeks on the album chart. That's unbelievable, considering there's only 52 weeks in the year. Absolute bonkers. Does it deserve to be one of the best-selling albums of 1965? And the best, 3 times at #1 through the 60s, and second best of the decade. It must have had an effect on some people, because even me, Do Re Mi, My Favourite Things, okay, going on 16, cheesy, but we all know them. The thing is, these days, soundtracks don't even get a sniff in the album charts. I think the last one that really did anything was the terrible Mamma Mia, but it was something in that time that soundtracks were really big in the 60s, and the early 70s. Paint Your Wagon was another one that was a big success. Fiddler on the Roof, we've mentioned. Just an amazing what people were listening to in the 60s. But personally, do I think no? Personally, I think out of the three, Out of Our Heads, it's a better album. The Help is as well, and The Who. They're fine albums, but they got beaten by a soundtrack. What can I say about this one? If I'm still talking about it and I still remember the songs, it can't be all that bad. Was it to me the best album of 1965? No. Top 10, yes, but not the best. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10 for this one. Well, I know this has been a bit different, but I just wanted to have a really good in-depth look at why a soundtrack like this beat the Beatles, The Who and the Rolling Stones to the best album of 1965. But there you go, it did. Anyway, that's all for today. I know this has been a bit of fun, this one. Tomorrow is the last Tuesday of the month, which means it's Ladies' Day on RTO, and tomorrow we're not going to look at pop. We're going to look at other artists, female artists of different genre that have sold a lot of albums in their field. We're doing an album ranking tomorrow of the string quartet Bond, and then we're doing a retro ranking on Enya, who I actually think is pretty good, and I do like her, and I've got all their albums. That's a sad person I am. So that's for tomorrow. Thank you for watching, especially this one. It's a bit bizarre, but there you go. This is what we're all about on this channel. We do rank the obscure, and this is certainly as obscure as they're going to get for this channel. One day we're doing heavy metal, the next thing we're doing The Sound of Music. So have a great day, everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye for now.